This is part of Lesson 2. It's the homework actually out of the Open Educational Resource textbook. And I want to work through these problems because some of you seem to be having some challenges with them. So the first problem you were assigned was problem number 11. It's on page 48 in the textbook. And it's 12x squared plus 3x minus 8x squared minus 19. So you're dealing with, in this section, we're talking about polynomial expressions and how to add, subtract, multiply, and divide them. This is a subtraction problem, and I can tell that because of the minus sign between the two polynomials. Remember, there's an understood 1 here, and so that may help you in terms of recognizing how to work the problem. And honestly, you already really know how to work this problem because we've learned earlier in previous courses and previous discussions that we always want to combine like terms. And I can see that both polynomials here have an x squared term, so I want to try to combine them together. But I need to be very careful and watch out for that negative sign. So the first thing I'm going to do is begin by kind of rewriting the problem. I still have 12x squared plus 3x. I just bring that down. But then for the second set of parentheses, I need to distribute this understood -1 through the parentheses. So -1 times 8x squared will be minus 8x squared. And -1 times minus 19, or -19, will be positive 19. And then finally, I'm going to come back and combine the pieces that are alike. To be alike, they have to have the same variable and the same exponent. So I have 12x squared minus 8x squared. 12 minus 8 is 4x squared. Think of it like 12 apples minus 8 apples. You got 4 apples left. There's nothing to combine with the 3x, and there's nothing to combine with the 19. So the final answer is 4x squared plus 3x plus 19. Now, if you need to actually write in the 1 and show the distributing, please do that. Don't make a silly calculation error because you don't want to take the time to write that in. Even here in this second problem, question 13, you have 6x squared plus 24w plus 24 minus 3w minus 6w plus 3w, or plus 3, excuse me. So again, there's an understood 1 in front of that parentheses. So if I rewrite this problem as I did before, the first polynomial we just bring down as is. So we have 6w squared plus 24w plus 24. Then I'm going to distribute the negative again. So I have -1 times 3w is minus 3w. -1 times -6 is positive 6w. And -1 times positive 3 would be minus 3. And then I'm going to come back and I'm going to combine like terms. You want to always start with the highest exponent and then kind of work your way down. So for 6w, I don't have anything to combine with it. So I'll just write it down, 6w squared. I have 24w minus 3w plus 6w. So I'm going to combine those together. So 24 minus 3 is 21, plus 6 is 27. So plus 27w. And then finally, we have plus 24 minus 3. So I'm going to combine those together. 24 minus 3 is 21. So our final answer is 6w squared plus 27w plus 21. So to add and subtract polynomial expressions, we simply combine like terms. Whenever you're subtracting, though, be very careful about the signs. The next couple of questions are multiplication problems. And basically, we use the distributive property. We distribute each term in the first parentheses to each term in the second parentheses. Now, this particular one 4x plus 2 times 6x minus 4. It's kind of a special one. Each one of these polynomials are considered binomials because they each have two pieces. And there's a special terminology we use when we think about a binomial times a binomial. We say we're going to FOIL it out, which means we're going to multiply the first pieces in each one, the outside pieces, then the inside pieces, and then the last pieces. Okay, so I'm going to try to draw it out as I go. Okay, so initially, I would do 4x times 6x. So first would be 24x squared. 6 times 4 is 24. X to the first times x to the first. Remember, you add the exponent, so it's x squared. Then outside, we would have 4x times minus 4. 4 times minus 4 is negative 16, and then the x. Inside, 2 times 6x. So 2 times 6 is 12x. Then last, I would have 2 times minus 4, which is negative 8. And then finally, I'm going to come back and combine together the like terms that I have. So I have 24x squared. There's nothing to combine with it. But I have negative 16 plus 12. Negative 16 plus 12 is negative or minus 4x, and then the minus 8. So 4x squared plus 2 multiplied times 6x minus 4 gives me 24x squared minus x. All right, number 19 is a similar problem. Again, you have a binomial times a binomial. So again, on this particular problem, I'm going to use the FOIL method. Okay. So I would have 6b squared times 4b squared. So 6 times 4 is 24. B squared times b squared is b to the fourth. Remember, same basis, you add the exponents. Then we do the outside. 6b squared times minus 4 would be minus 24b squared. Inside, minus 6 times 4b squared is again negative 24b squared. And last, negative 6 times negative 4 gives me positive 24. And then I'm going to come back and combine like terms. There's nothing to combine with the 24b to the fourth. I have minus 24b squared and minus 24b squared. Minus 24 and minus 24 make minus 48b squared plus 24. And there's your answer. For number 25, it's a little bit different because it says 12 minus 4x squared. Now, there's actually a pattern that you can use here for multiplying this together, but to me, it's just as easy to realize the fact that you want this thing squared, that you can do 12 minus 4x times 12 minus 4x. Remember, the purpose of an exponent is it tells you how many times to multiply the base, which in this case is 12 minus 4x, times itself. So here again, now I'm back to a binomial times a binomial, and so here again, I can use my FOIL method to multiply these together. So I'm going to do 12 times 12, which is 144. 12 times minus 4x is minus 48x. Negative 4x times 12 is negative 48x. And then finally, negative 4x times negative 4x. Negative times negative is a positive. 4 times 4 is 16. X to the second. Now, Again, we go back and combine like terms. Typically, when you write a polynomial, you want to write it so that you have the highest exponent first. So that means I'm going to put the 6x squared first. Then I'm going to have minus 48 and minus 48x. So that's minus 96x plus 144. Now, you may not recognize that as a plus, but remember that if there's not a sign written there, it's an understood plus in front of the 144. Questions 39 as well as 41 are also multiplication problems, but in this case, we have a trinomial times a binomial. So we can't really use full here. We actually do have to use the distributive property. And again, that means I'm going to multiply everything in the first parentheses times everything in the second parentheses. And I'm going to try to color code it for you. So first thing I'm going to do is multiply through by 4t squared. So 4t squared times 4t squared would be 16t to the fourth. 4t squared times minus 1 would be minus 4t squared. Then I go back and I start over with the plus t. Now again, remember there's an understood 1 there. So I'm doing 1t times 4t squared. So that's plus 4t squared. And 1 times the minus 1 would be minus 1. And then finally, I'm going back a third time, and I'm going to distribute the negative 7. Again, be careful. Negative 7 times positive 4t squared is negative 28t squared. And negative 7 times negative 1 is positive 7. The final step after I've distributed everything is to go back and combine like terms. Again, we start with the highest exponent, so I'm going to start with the t to the fourth. So I have 16t to the fourth. Then I have minus 4t squared plus 4t squared minus 28t squared. Minus 4 plus 4, that's 0. So I have minus 28t squared. And then combining the constants, I have negative 1 and 7. So minus 1 plus 7 is plus 6. Okay, so your final answer is 16t to the fourth minus 28t squared plus 6. And then the last problem there is kind of the same idea, but now you have a binomial times a trinomial. Same idea. We're going to take each term in the first parentheses and multiply it times each term in the second parentheses. So if I start with y times y squared is y cubed. Multiplying the same bases, you add the exponents. 1y times minus 4y is minus 4y squared. And y times minus 9 is minus 9y. I'm going to come back and start over, and this time I'm going to distribute the negative 2. Again, be careful. Negative 2 times y squared is minus 2y squared. Negative 2 times negative 4y, negative times a negative is a positive, 8y. And then finally, negative 2 times negative 9. Negative times negative is a positive. 2 times 9 is 18. And then I'm going to come back and combine like terms. So I have y cubed minus 4y squared minus 2y squared is minus 6y squared. Minus 9y plus 8y is minus 1y. I'm going to write the 1 for emphasis. And then I have plus 18. Now, in most of your answers on the computer, you would not actually have the 1 in front of the y written. Most times, you're just going to see it as minus y. Okay, so that's the homework from lesson 2 on dealing with polynomials.